The shuttle landed with a soft hum, and Yuna stepped onto the platform of the Galactic Academy. She carried one bag over her shoulder and held a small tablet close to her chest. Around her, alien students of every shape and size moved through the arrival zone. Some had scales, some had fur, some had too many eyes, and some had none at all. Yuna was the only human in sight. She was small. Even by human standards, she was not tall. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her uniform hung a little loose on her thin frame. Next to the massive creatures around her, she looked like a child. She looked breakable. A group of Draxian students walked past her. They were tall, almost 3 meters, with 4 muscular arms and thick plates of natural bone armor covering their chests and backs. One of them glanced at Yuna and made a sound that might have been a laugh. The others joined in. They did not try to hide it. Yuna kept walking. The Galactic Academy was the most famous school in the known universe. Students came from hundreds of worlds to study here. Only the best were accepted. This year, only 12 humans had earned a place. Humanity had joined the galactic community just 15 years ago, and most species still did not think much of them. Humans were new. Humans were soft. Humans came from a dangerous planet, yet they had no claws, no venom, no armor. To most aliens, humans were a mystery that was not worth solving. Yuna found her room on the 3rd floor of the dormitory building. When she opened the door, another girl was already inside, unpacking her things. She was human too, with short hair and a bright smile. "You must be my roommate," the girl said. "I am Hana." "Yuna," she replied quietly. Hana studied her for a moment. "First time away from Earth?" Yuna nodded. "Same," Hana said. "But do not worry. We humans have to stick together here. I heard the other species do not think much of us. We will prove them wrong." Yuna gave a small smile, but said nothing. She placed her bag on the bed and sat down. Her fingers brushed the surface of the tablet she carried. It was old, scratched in many places, but she held it like it was made of gold. The first week passed slowly. Yuna attended her classes, ate her meals, and spoke only when necessary. She noticed quickly that humans were treated differently here. Professors sometimes skipped over her when asking questions. Other students rarely sat near her. When she walked through the hallways, larger aliens did not move aside. She had to step around them. She did not complain. She simply adapted. It was on the 8th day that she first saw Vorn. He entered the dining hall like he owned it. In many ways he did. Vorn was a Draxian, tall and powerful, with dark gray skin and 4 arms that looked like they could crush stone. His family was famous across the galaxy. They were warriors, conquerors, rulers. Vorn carried that legacy in every step he took. The other students made room for him. Even the ones who were bigger moved aside. There was something in his eyes, a coldness, that told everyone he was not someone to challenge. Yuna was sitting alone at a corner table, eating quietly, when Vorn noticed her. He stopped. His head tilted slightly, like a predator spotting something interesting. He walked over. "You are human," he said. It was not a question. Yuna looked up. "Yes." Vorn smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I have never seen one up close. You are smaller than I expected." He leaned down, bringing his face close to hers. "Fragile." Yuna did not move. "Can I help you with something?" The question seemed to amuse him. He reached out with one of his arms and knocked her tray off the table. Food scattered across the floor. The dining hall went quiet. Every eye turned toward them. "Clean it up," Vorn said. Yuna looked at the mess on the floor. Then she looked back at Vorn. For a long moment, she did nothing. The silence stretched. Then slowly, she stood up. She bent down and began picking up the food, piece by piece, placing it back on the tray. She did not look at Vorn. She did not speak. When she was done, she carried the tray to the disposal unit, threw it away, and walked out of the dining hall without looking back. The other students watched her go. Some of them whispered. Most of them shook their heads. The human was weak. She had proven it. Vorn laughed loudly. "Prey," he said to his friends. "That is what humans are. Prey." That night, Hannah found Yuna sitting on her bed, staring out the window at the alien stars. "I heard what happened," Hannah said, her voice tight with anger. "You should report him. What he did was wrong." "It would not change anything," Yuna replied. "Then fight back. Show him you are not afraid." Yuna turned to look at her roommate. Her expression was calm, unreadable. "I am not afraid. Then why did you just let him do that?" Yuna was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. "My mother used to tell me something. She said that the ocean does not fight the storm. It waits. It endures. And when the storm is gone, the ocean is still there." Hannah frowned. "I do not understand." "You will." Yuna turned back to the window. "Eventually everyone will." Hannah wanted to argue, but something in Yuna's voice stopped her. There was no fear in it, no sadness. If anything, there was something that sounded almost like patience, like she was waiting for something. Hannah left her alone after that. In the darkness of the room, Yuna held her tablet close. On its screen was a picture of a woman with the same black hair, the same gentle face. Her mother had died 2 years ago, but Yuna still carried her everywhere. This tablet was all she had left. She thought about Vorn. She thought about the laughter in the dining hall. She thought about all the students who had looked at her with pity. None of them knew. None of them understood what humans really were. They saw small bodies and soft skin. They saw a species without claws or fangs. They did not see what was underneath. Yuna closed her eyes. She could wait. The weeks that followed were not easy. Vorn had found his new target, and he made sure everyone knew it. It started small. A shove in the hallway. A cruel word spoken loud enough for others to hear. Vorn would walk past Yuna and bump into her shoulder hard enough to send her stumbling. He would mock her in front of his friends, calling her weak, calling her prey, calling her a mistake of evolution. Yuna never responded. She picked herself up. She kept walking. She never raised her voice. The other students began to talk. Some said she was smart to stay quiet. Vorn was dangerous, and fighting back would only make things worse. Others said she was a coward. A few said she simply did not have the strength to fight, so what else could she do? Hannah watched her roommate with growing frustration. Every night, Yuna came back to their room with new bruises on her arms. Every night she said nothing about them. She would sit by the window, hold her tablet, and stare at the stars like nothing had happened. "This cannot continue," Hannah said one evening. "He is hurting you." "I know," Yuna replied. "Then do something." "I am doing something." Yuna looked at her. "I am learning." Hannah did not understand, but she stopped asking. The harassment grew worse. One day, Vorn cornered Yuna in an empty hallway. He pressed her against the wall with 2 of his arms, while the other 2 rested at his sides. His face was close to hers, and his breath was hot and foul. "I could break you right now," he whispered. "No one would stop me. No one would care. You are nothing here, human. You are less than nothing." Yuna met his eyes. Her heart was beating fast, but her face showed nothing. "Are you finished?" Vorn blinked. For a moment, something like confusion crossed his face. He had expected fear. He had expected tears. Instead, he found only calm. He shoved her hard against the wall and walked away, laughing. But the laugh sounded different this time, less certain. That same week, a small Fenari girl approached Yuna in the garden. The Fenari were a gentle species. Thin and delicate, with large eyes and soft voices. They were known for their kindness and their weakness. On a station full of predators, they were often targets. "You are Yuna," the girl said. "The human." "Yes." "I am Tella." The Fenari sat down next to her, her small hands folded in her lap. "I wanted to warn you about Vorn." "I know about Vorn." "No." Tella shook her head. "You do not know everything. Last year he put 3 students in the medical ward. One of them still cannot walk. Another had to leave the academy." Her large eyes filled with worry. "He will do the same to you. Maybe worse. You should request a transfer to another school. It is the only way to be safe." Yuna considered this. She looked at Tella carefully. "He hurt you too, did he not?" Tella looked away. The answer was clear without words. "I am sorry," Yuna said softly. "That should not have happened to you. It does not matter now. I just wanted to warn you." Tella stood to leave, but stopped when Yuna spoke again. "Tella, has Vorn ever fought a human before?" The Fenari girl frowned. "No. Your species only arrived recently. Why?" Yuna smiled gently. It was not a happy smile. It was something else entirely. "Then he does not know what we are. None of them do." Tella left confused and worried. She did not understand what Yuna meant, and she was not sure she wanted to. 3 days later, everything changed. Yuna was studying in the common room when Vorn entered with his usual group of followers. She ignored him, keeping her eyes on her tablet, the same tablet she always carried, the one with her mother's picture. Vorn saw it. He walked over slowly, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "What is that?" he asked. "Your little toy?" Yuna's hand tightened around the device. "Leave it alone." "Or what?" Vorn laughed. He snatched the tablet from her hands before she could react. He held it up, looking at the screen. "A picture? How sad. Is this your mother? She looks as weak as you." Something in the room shifted. The other students felt it, though they could not name it. The air grew heavy. "Give it back," Yuna said. Her voice was quiet, but it was different now. There was no softness in it. Vorn grinned. "Make me." And then he dropped the tablet on the floor and crushed it under his foot. The screen shattered. The frame cracked. Pieces scattered across the floor like broken dreams. The picture of Yuna's mother disappeared under Vorn's heel. The room was silent. Yuna stared at the broken pieces. For a long moment, she did not move, did not breathe. The other students watched, waiting for tears, waiting for her to run away, waiting for the same weakness they had always seen. Instead, Yuna looked up. Her eyes met Vorn's. There were no tears in them. There was something else, something that made Vorn's smile falter for just a second. "You will regret that," she said. Vorn laughed, but it was forced. "What are you going to do, human? Cry at me?" Yuna did not answer. She turned and walked out of the room. But she did not go back to her dormitory. She did not go to her classes. Instead, she walked to the Academy Administration Building. She walked to the Combat Registry Office, and she entered her name for a formal challenge. Opponent, Vorn of House Draxus. When the announcement appeared on every screen in the Academy, the reaction was immediate. Students stopped in the hallways. Professors paused their lectures. Everyone stared at the words in disbelief. A human had challenged a Draxian to formal combat. It was suicide. Everyone knew it. Draxians were born warriors. Their entire culture was built on strength and conquest. Vorn had never lost a fight in his life, but there it was, in official letters, for everyone to see. Yuna versus Vorn, 3 days from now. In the common room, Vorn looked at the screen and laughed the loudest laugh of his life. "The prey wants to fight," he said. "Good. I will teach her what happens when the weak challenge the strong." His friends laughed with him. But across the academy, in a quiet corner of the garden, Tella the Fenari girl saw the announcement and felt something strange in her chest. It took her a moment to recognize it. Hope. She did not know why. Logic said Yuna would lose. Logic said Yuna would be destroyed. But something in the human girl's eyes, something in the way she had smiled in the garden, made Tella wonder if maybe, just maybe, the rest of them were missing something important. Something the galaxy had forgotten about humans. The night before the duel, Yuna sat alone in the Academy garden. The alien stars above her were unfamiliar, different colors and patterns than the ones she had grown up watching on Earth. But somehow, they still brought her peace. She heard footsteps approaching. Heavy ones. She did not turn around. "You are the human who challenged Vorn." The voice was deep and serious. Yuna looked over her shoulder. A tall alien stood there, his skin a deep blue, his eyes like polished silver. He wore the uniform of an academy instructor. She recognized him from combat training classes. Instructor Kyle. "Yes," she said simply. Kyle walked closer and stood beside her, looking up at the same stars. "I have been assigned to oversee the match tomorrow. I am required to inform both fighters of the rules." He paused. "But I am also here to give you a chance to withdraw." "I will not withdraw." "You should." Kale turned to face her. His expression was not cruel, but it was honest. "I have trained Draxian warriors. I know what they are capable of. Vorn is young, but he is strong even by their standards. 4 arms, natural armor, muscle density twice that of most species. He has been fighting since he could walk." Yuna listened quietly. "You are human," Kyle continued. "Your species is new to the galaxy. I mean no disrespect, but I have studied your kind. You are not built for combat. You have no natural weapons. Your skin tears easily. Your bones break. You need 8 hours of sleep every cycle just to function." He shook his head. "Against a Draxian, you will not last 1 minute." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Instructor, do you know how humans became the dominant species on our planet?" Kale frowned. "Tools, I assume. Intelligence. You built weapons to make up for your physical weakness." "That is part of it," Yuna agreed. "But there is something else. Something older." She stood up and stretched her arms slowly, like she was preparing for a run. "Long before we had tools, before we had weapons or fire, humans hunted. And do you know how we caught our prey?" Kale shook his head. "We chased them." Yuna's voice was calm, almost soft. "Our prey was faster than us. Always. We could not outrun a deer or a horse. We could not catch them in a sprint. So we did not try." She looked at him. "Instead, we followed. For hours. For days. We walked when they ran. We jogged when they rested. We never stopped." Kale's frown deepened. "That makes no sense. If they were faster, they would escape." "They would run," Yuna corrected. "They would sprint away, and then they would stop to rest because their bodies could not handle the heat. But we kept coming. We sweated to cool ourselves down. We breathed deep to keep our muscles going. We ignored pain, ignored exhaustion, ignored everything except the chase." Her eyes met his. "Eventually, the prey would collapse. Not because we caught it. Because it ran until its own heart gave out. And we would still be walking." The garden was silent except for the soft hum of alien insects. "Humans do not win fights because we are strong," Yuna said. "We win because we do not stop. Our bodies are designed to keep going past the point where other creatures fall. We feel pain, but we can ignore it. We get injured, but we keep moving. We have chemicals in our blood that let us push beyond our limits when we need to." She smiled, but it was not a gentle smile anymore. "Vorn thinks he is the predator. He thinks I am prey. But he has never met a species that hunted by simply refusing to die." Kyle stared at her. For the first time, he felt something he had not expected. Not pity, not concern. Uncertainty. "Get some rest, instructor," Yuna said. "Tomorrow will be interesting." She walked away, leaving him alone in the garden. That night, Kale could not sleep. He went to the Academy database and began researching humans. What he found disturbed him. He read about human history, the wars that lasted decades, the soldiers who kept fighting with bullets in their bodies, the survivors who crawled through deserts for days without water. He read about a human who cut off his own arm to escape a trap and walked for hours to find help. He read about athletes who finished races on broken legs. He read about mothers who lifted vehicles to save their children. He read about persistence hunting, the ancient technique Yuna had described. He watched videos of humans running animals to death across African plains. Not fast, not strong, just relentless, just refusing to stop. And then he read about adrenaline, about endorphins, about the human ability to temporarily shut off pain and push their bodies beyond what should be possible. By morning, Kyle was no longer certain about the outcome of the fight. Across the academy, others were preparing in their own ways. Hana spent the night trying to talk Yuna out of the duel. She begged, she argued, she even cried. Yuna listened to all of it with patience and kindness, but she did not change her mind. "He broke my mother's tablet," Yuna said quietly. "That was the last thing I had of her, the last picture." "It is not worth dying over," Hana whispered. "I am not going to die." Yuna hugged her roommate gently. "Trust me." Tella, the Fenari girl, spent the night unable to sleep as well. She kept thinking about Yuna's smile in the garden, about the strange confidence in her voice, about the way she had asked if Vorn had ever fought a human before. She did not understand it, but she wanted to believe, and in his private quarters, Vorn prepared by laughing with his friends and drinking expensive wine from his homeworld. He was not worried. He was not even thinking about the fight. To him, it was already over. The human was small and weak. He would crush her in seconds. He would make an example of her. He would show the entire academy what happened when prey forgot its place. He fell asleep with a smile on his face. He did not dream about the ancient hunters of Earth, walking endlessly across burning plains. He did not dream about the species that had survived ice ages and fires and floods and plagues. He did not dream about the look in Yuna's eyes when he had crushed her mother's picture under his foot. He should have. Because when the sun rose over the Galactic Academy, it was not just another day. It was the day the galaxy would remember what humans truly were. The combat arena was full. Every seat was taken. Students hung over railings and crowded in doorways, all trying to see. Word had spread across the entire station. A human had challenged a Draxian. It was madness. It was suicide. It was the most interesting thing to happen at the academy in years. Bets were placed in whispers. The odds were not even close. 1,000 to 1 against the human. Some students had come to watch a fight. Most had come to watch an execution. Instructor Kyle stood in the center of the arena, his face carefully neutral. But his silver eyes kept moving to the entrance where Yuna would appear. He had not slept. He could not forget what he had read. The doors on the far side opened, and Vorn entered. The crowd erupted. Draxian students roared their approval. Others stamped their feet or made sounds of excitement. Vorn walked slowly, enjoying every moment. He raised all 4 of his arms and flexed, showing off the thick muscles and natural bone armor that covered his body. His gray skin gleamed under the arena lights. He looked like a god of war. The cheering lasted for almost a minute before it began to fade. People looked toward the other entrance, waiting. The doors opened. Yuna walked out. She was alone. No supporters, no dramatic entrance. She simply walked forward, her steps calm and steady. She wore the standard combat uniform, which hung loose on her small frame. Her black hair was tied back. Her face showed nothing. The arena went quiet, not respectful quiet, uncomfortable quiet, the kind of quiet that came when people saw something they did not know how to react to. Next to Vorn, Yuna looked like a child. She looked like something that would break if you held it too hard. Vorn laughed. The sound echoed through the silence. This is what challenged me. This little thing. He turned to the crowd, spreading all 4 arms wide. I almost feel bad. Almost. Yuna reached the center of the arena and stopped across from him. She looked up at his face, so far above her own, and said nothing. Instructor Kale stepped between them. This is a formal challenge under Academy rules. The fight continues until one fighter yields, is unable to continue, or I stop the match. Lethal force is prohibited, but serious injury is accepted. He looked at both of them. Do you understand? Yes, Vorn said, grinning. Yes, Yuna said quietly. Kyle stepped back. He raised his hand. The arena held its breath. Begin! Vorn moved like lightning, 4 arms reaching, muscles exploding with power. He closed the distance in less than a second, his upper right arm swinging toward Yuna's head with enough force to shatter stone. The blow connected. Yuna's shoulder took the impact as she tried to dodge. The sound of cracking bone echoed through the arena. She spun through the air and hit the ground hard, rolling across the floor before coming to a stop. The crowd gasped. Some looked away. It was over already. It had to be. Yuna stood up. Her left shoulder hung at a wrong angle, dislocated, maybe broken. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead where she had hit the ground. She wiped it away from her eye with her good hand, and she smiled. Not a pained smile, not a desperate smile, a real smile, the kind that made Vorn's grin falter for just a moment. Good hit, she said. My turn. She moved forward. Vorn attacked again, expecting her to fall. His lower arms grabbed for her while his upper arms struck down like hammers. He was faster than her, stronger than her, bigger than her. Every advantage belonged to him. But Yuna did not try to match his strength. She moved around it. She ducked under one swing and stepped past another. She took a glancing blow to her ribs that made her grunt in pain, but kept moving. She was studying him, learning the patterns of his attacks. 2 minutes in, Vorn had hit her a dozen times. Yuna was bleeding from multiple cuts. Her breathing was heavy. One of her eyes was swelling shut. By any measure, she should have been unconscious. She kept fighting. Vorn's attacks grew wilder. He was not used to this. His opponents always fell quickly. They always stayed down. But this human kept getting up. Every time he knocked her down, she stood again. Every time he hurt her, she came back for more. 5 minutes in, Yuna started hitting back. Her strikes were precise, targeted. She hit the soft spots between his armor plates. She struck at joints and nerve clusters. Each blow was small, nothing compared to his power, but they added up. Each one made him flinch. Each one cost him something. Vorn grabbed her with 2 of his arms and threw her across the arena. She crashed into the wall and slid to the floor. Blood pooled beneath her. Her ribs were definitely broken now, maybe more. She stood up. The crowd was no longer cheering for Vorn. They were not cheering at all. They were watching in stunned silence as this small, broken human refused to stay down. 8 minutes in, Vorn was breathing hard. His species was built for power, not endurance. His massive muscles demanded huge amounts of oxygen. He had expected this fight to last seconds, not minutes. His arms were getting heavy. Yuna circled him slowly. She was limping now. One of her legs had taken a bad hit, but her eyes never left his face. "You look tired," she said. Vorn roared and charged at her, but his movements were slower now. Yuna slipped aside and drove her knee into the back of his leg. He stumbled. She hit him twice more in the same spot before dancing away. 12 minutes in, Vorn could barely raise his upper arms. His lungs burned. Sweat poured down his gray skin. He had never felt this way before. He had never been pushed this far. Una stood across from him, a broken mess of blood and bruises. She should not have been standing. She should not have been conscious. But there she was, still on her feet, still watching him with those calm eyes. "Yield," she said. Vorn screamed in rage. He threw himself at her with everything he had left. One last desperate attack, one final attempt to crush this impossible human. Una did not run. She stepped into his charge, grabbed one of his lower arms, and used his own momentum against him. She twisted her body, pulled with all her remaining strength, and felt his arm pop out of its socket. Vorn crashed to the ground, clutching his dislocated limb. He tried to get up, but his body would not obey. His muscles had nothing left. His lungs could not get enough air. He lay on the arena floor, gasping like a fish pulled from water. Una stood over him. The arena was perfectly silent. No one moved. No one breathed. 20 minutes ago, everyone in this room had been certain how this fight would end. They had been certain that the human would fall, that the Draxian would win, that strength would triumph over weakness as it always did. They had been wrong. Instructor Kale stepped forward. His voice rang out across the arena. "Vorn is unable to continue. The winner is Una." For a long moment, nothing happened. The words hung in the air like something impossible. Then Tella the Fenari girl stood up in the crowd. She began to clap. One small person, making one small sound. Others joined her, slowly at first, then faster. The applause grew until it filled the arena, echoing off the walls, drowning out everything else. Una did not celebrate. She did not raise her arms or shout in victory. She simply stood there, broken and bleeding, looking down at the Draxian who had tormented her for weeks. "Next time," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "Remember what we are." Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed to the floor. But she had won. Against all odds, against all logic, against everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans, she had won. And nothing would ever be the same. Una opened her eyes to white light and the soft hum of medical machines. She tried to move, but pain shot through every part of her body. A groan escaped her lips. "Easy," a familiar voice came from beside her bed. "You have been unconscious for 2 days." Una turned her head slowly. Hana sat in a chair next to her, dark circles under her eyes, looking like she had not slept in a long time. 2 days? Una's voice came out rough and weak. "The doctor said it should have been longer. Much longer." Hana shook her head, her expression caught between amazement and frustration. "They said your injuries should have kept you unconscious for at least a week. They said humans are not supposed to heal this fast." She leaned closer. "What are you?" Una managed a small smile. "Just human." The medical ward was quiet except for the beeping machines. Una learned that she had suffered a dislocated shoulder, 4 broken ribs, a fractured leg, multiple cuts, severe bruising, and a mild concussion. The doctors, none of whom had ever treated a human before, had expected her to be in recovery for months. She was walking again in 4 days. The alien medical staff watched her with something like fear. They ran tests. They took samples. They whispered among themselves about human healing rates and pain tolerance and the strange chemicals they found in her blood. One doctor, an elderly being with 6 eyes and gentle hands, sat with her on her 3rd day awake. "I have studied many species," he said. "I thought I understood biology. But your kind—" He shook his head. "You should not exist. Your bodies break easily, but they repair themselves like nothing I have seen. You feel pain, but ignore it. You push past limits that would kill others. It is like you were designed to survive anything." Una thought about her ancestors, about the ice ages and the famines and the plagues. about the wars and the disasters and the countless times humanity should have ended. "We had to be," she said simply. "Our planet tried to kill us every day. The ones who could not survive did not." When she finally left the medical ward, the academy was different. Students stepped aside when she walked through the hallways. Not in fear, but in respect. Some nodded to her. Some bowed their heads. A few even spoke words of admiration in languages she did not understand. The whispers followed her, but they were different now. Not pity, not mockery. Awe. In the dining hall, no one sat at Yuna's table for the first 2 days. Then Tella appeared with her food tray and asked if she could join. Yuna smiled and gestured to the empty seat across from her. "You did something impossible," Tella said softly. "Everyone is talking about it." "Not just here, on other stations, on other worlds. The story is spreading." "It was just one fight," Yuna said. "No." Tella shook her head. "It was more than that. Vorn was untouchable. His family is powerful. His species is feared. No one ever stood against him and lived. But you did. You showed everyone that—" She struggled to find the words. "That being small does not mean being weak. That the ones who look fragile might be the strongest of all." Others began to join their table, not many at first, but over the following weeks the number grew. Students who had been bullied, students who had been afraid, students who had been told they did not belong. They came to Yuna not for protection, but for hope. Vorn disappeared from the academy shortly after the fight. His family, humiliated by his defeat, recalled him home. Some said he would be retrained. Others said he had been disowned. Yuna did not know the truth, and she did not care enough to find out. Instructor Kyle requested a meeting with her one evening. They walked together through the academy garden, the same place where they had spoken before the duel. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I underestimated your kind. Many do. I will not make that mistake again." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "I have recommended that human combat techniques be added to the academy curriculum. I have also submitted a report to the Galactic Council suggesting that humanity's classification be upgraded." Yuna raised an eyebrow. "Classification?" "Every species is ranked based on perceived threat level and capability. Humans were listed as Category 7, low priority, minimal danger." Kale allowed himself a small smile. "I have recommended Category 3. Category 3 was reserved for apex predators, for species that could challenge empires." "That seems like a big jump," Yuna said. "After what I witnessed, it seems appropriate." Kyle began walking again. "The galaxy has made assumptions about your species based on appearance. Soft skin, small size, fragile bodies. They saw weakness because that is what they expected to see." He glanced at her. "They did not see what I saw in that arena. They did not see someone who refused to fall, someone who took punishment that would have killed others and kept fighting, someone who won not through strength, but through sheer refusal to lose." They walked in silence for a moment. "Your mother," Kale said carefully. "The tablet that was destroyed. I understand it was important to you." Yuna's expression flickered with sadness. "It was all I had left of her." "I see." Kyle reached into his uniform and produced a small device, a new tablet, sleek and polished. "I took the liberty of recovering the data from your damaged device. The picture of your mother has been restored." Yuna took the tablet with trembling hands. She turned it on and saw her mother's face smiling back at her. The same gentle eyes, the same warm expression. She did not cry, but she came close. "Thank you," she whispered. Far away, on Earth, Yuna's brother Minho received news of the duel through official military channels. He was a soldier in the Terran Defense Corps, stationed at a base in the mountains. When he read the report, he laughed so hard that his squad thought he had lost his mind. "My little sister," he said, showing them the news. "She beat a Draxian warrior in single combat." His squad mates stared at him. "I am not surprised," Minho continued, still laughing. "I tried to tell them when we first joined the galactic community. I tried to warn them about what we are. But they looked at us and saw weak little creatures with no claws and no armor." He shook his head. "They had no idea." One of his squad mates, a young woman named Sora, frowned at the report. "It says the fight lasted 20 minutes. How is that possible? Draxians are supposed to be unbeatable in close combat." "They are strong," Minho agreed. "But strength is not everything. Humans learned that lesson a long time ago." He looked up at the sky, thinking of his sister so far away. "We do not give up. We do not quit. We take the hits and keep going. That is what makes us dangerous. Not muscles or weapons or armor, just pure, stubborn refusal to stay down." Back at the academy, Yuna sat alone in the garden one last time. The semester was ending. She would return to Earth for a short break before coming back for another year of studies. Tella found her there, as she often did now. "What will you do when you go home?" the Fenari girl asked. "Rest," Yuna said. "Heal properly. Visit my mother's grave." She looked at the alien stars above them. "Then come back and finish what I started." "And what is that?" Yuna smiled. Not the cold smile she had shown Vorn, a real one, warm and genuine. "Show the galaxy what humans are capable of. One day at a time, one challenge at a time." She turned to Tella. "And maybe help others find their own strength along the way." Tella smiled back. For the first time since coming to the academy, she did not feel afraid. The galaxy was vast and full of ancient powers and terrifying species. Humanity was new and small and seemingly insignificant. But they had something that could not be measured by size or strength or technology. They had the spirit that refused to break. And one by one, star by star, the galaxy was beginning to learn what that meant.